you guys had Throw the D, you had Joe Love, the Pee Wee Herman, all these different things that went from dances to songs, or the dance became the song.
Right. I think that was something that they were doing there, that once again, that Luke probably helped start, the Throw the D dance, some kind of chant or something like that, where it came from. I remember the dance very, very well. Uh, I didn't have anything to do with that song. Remember, that song was out when I joined the group.
Right.
Yeah. So, I think that was something that Fresh Kid Ice and Mr. Mixx had done, probably with Luke.
Right.
And the first time I heard that record is when I got to Miami. And the record started blowing up. That record started blowing up. So I commend China Man for doing Throw the D. That's a classic.
So, given coming in to replace Yuri and then coming in with a pre-existing relationship already with the other two members, with Mixx and Fresh Kid Ice with Luke, how did you find early on your relationship with Luke? Was it more business? Were you guys more friends? Like, what was it like getting to be with him?
I really couldn't say what me and Luke were doing. It was a lot of things that I saw off firsthand that I probably should have corrected or made mention of. But to this day, I really can't say that me and Luke ever sat down and really had a real good conversation. I don't think that me and him basically tried to really get to know each other, and he didn't really try to get to know me. So, and I would say this, and even though I made the choice to stay and put myself through all of that 2 Live Crew had to offer, whether bad or good, I was more so there on with Mr. Mixx, more so than Luke. I always felt closer to Mr. Mixx. I could always identify with him better. I kind of looked up to him as a brother, and then he brought me to Florida, and then everything was cool, and we were making records, and we were making a little money. So, I was there with him more so than Luke. And he was really, really, or I guess he felt that him and Luke had a really unbreakable bond. But, you know how that is.
I do. Now, the thing that's interesting to me about you and Luke then is, like, again, I've never been in a platinum selling rap group, but I would imagine if the four of you in particular, and of course whoever else traveled with you guys, are doing all this stuff together, why do you think you never really had a conversation, or why do you think neither one of you really interacted much with the other, just either downtime or business time or fun? Or
I can't really say. Luke was always kind of weird like to me. He's done some things that when I first came, like I think the very first or second day that I was there in Miami after he picked me up from the airport, he kind of did something that I kind of that I didn't feel comfortable with. So I was always kind of looking at him out of the side of my neck, and then and a lot of things. It was a lot of things. I was in a new place. I didn't feel too comfortable there. I had to make myself really like it, and it was just all new to me. And then Luke has that kind of look to where is even if he's not or whatever, it's how I guess it's how I perceive someone. But Luke has that kind of look, like, I don't know, suspect, or he might be kind of shady. So I always kind of had kind of a little bit of doubts. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, didn't see it, seeing all what was going on in Miami. When I first got there, had to be on your P's and Q's, because we came to Miami in the middle of the cocaine cowboy days, when it was kind of wild, wild west around there. So, I thought Luke back then, Luke was younger. I thought he was kind of crazy. I thought Luke was kind of crazy a little bit. So I'm like, this is his hometown. This is his people. Just let that fool just, let him do what he gonna do. And if he gonna be all right, he gonna be all right. Basically.
gotcha. So then, what? how did it work with you, Fresh Kid Ice, and Mr. Mixx with what you did do with Two Live Is What We Are? How was your
Man,
how did you guys work in the studio, writing?
it was fun because it all flew by so fast, and we were gelling, and the chemistry and the energy and the vibe was there, and man, it was just all magical. It was all magical. We were in a 2-bedroom apartment, me and the guys, and Mr. Mixx had everything cooked up, wall full of records, equipment, and you could just wake up and start working. You know what I'm saying? And work all day, man. And that was beautiful. I remember it like
How
yes.
well how would you say that being in Miami affected you as a writer? Because it sounds like you moved around quite a bit.
Yeah.
Once you like
Yeah.
really settled, you got a lot of different backgrounds already.
Yeah. It was easy. Especially when we were on the subject. After Throw the Dick came, Throw the D came out. Then okay, cool. Then to the success of that, and we stayed in the sex lane by being in Miami with all those beautiful women. Man, it was nothing, man. It was nothing to get material for music. All you gotta do is just go outside. You're seeing girls with booty shorts on, and it nice and developed and cute, ass and titties and everything hanging out. I mean, I don't know if ain't hope there's nobody listening that's underage, but yeah, man, all of that sexual content, it was there. All of that material was there. You know how Miami is right now.
Yeah.
Everybody want to be naked. Yep.
So with this time in '86, really the only person I knew at this time was really Schoolie D that was being so explicit, but he wasn't super. He didn't. He would have little sections that were explicit, but he didn't do like "We Want Some Pussy." So, what gave you guys the idea to be that brazen with it, that direct?
Again, we have to thank Brother Luke for that. That was one of the things that he used to always chant while he used to DJ. Hey, we want some pussy. We just thought, I wrote that song. I wrote the lyrics for me and China Man in that record. And yeah, man, to be able to say something like that, and to be in Miami and at that particular time, and and to just go all out, man, against the establishment, not caring about what you're saying and the kind of music that you're making, and it's being accepted. Those were remarkable times. Those
And
were
even that too, it wasn't just the name of the song either. I mean, you talk about running trains, like all kinds of stuff. So like
yeah.
that, that
Thank
wasn't
God,
just what's that?
thank God the Me Too movement wasn't out back then, buddy, and camera phones. We'd have been fucked up a long time.
Yeah, really. And
I know, right?
and the interesting thing is like with Get a Girl and that record, those are really the only two super explicit crazy. The rest of it is Mr. Mixx going off. It's you guys boasting about him, about being good rappers or what have you.
Yeah.
So when you were doing all your shows, or when you guys were even just talking creatively, did you guys be like, oh man, we're going to start the show DJing and doing all this stuff? Or did you just automatically, once you started going, were like, man, we just got to do this type of music, period?
Yeah. Well, after we started putting it together, man, and we were seeing the people's reaction to what we were doing. Um, yeah, and those other elements started to fall into the live performances, such as Luke being the hype man and whatnot. Yeah, the show came together, man, and until this day, it's has been one of the best. I think one of the best shows in rap history, because we would blow a lot of groups out of the water, with the girls and what we were saying, and Luke being really loud and crazy, and everything just gelled and just went together at that time. It was beautiful.
Yeah, I got to see the glory a little later on because I wasn't even a teenager yet when I was first learning about you guys and hearing all this. But one of the other things that I thought was great, and maybe you could speak to on the Luke or the Mr. Mixx side or whoever it was, but you guys with Get It Girl had Dolomite on there, one of the earliest, if not the first time I remember hearing Dolomite on a record. So
Hmm.
what did you think adding those little layers, uh, you know, I don't know if you had anything to do with that, but regardless, the reaction of it, like what was the reaction that people would give you or say to you, or did it matter? Or
Well, that was Mr. Mixx. That was Mr. Mixx's idea with the on the production with adding all the comedians. And man, they made the song. Mr. Mixx would take a comedian and sample them in there and basically would just make up a song with that. I mean, it would just help build the record, and that was cool because I remember listening to rap 12 inches and then turning around and putting on a Richard Pryor and a Dolomite album. I mean, they were always around. But at that time, I didn't think or I would never would imagine that somebody would combine both of them. But hey, that's just the ingenious of Mr. Mixx. That's what he does.
that's the one and one.
Yep.
Now, also, as somebody, I grew up loving DJs and all the scratching, and that was such a big element at the time, and even for that was 86, but even 87, 88, it still lasted for a couple more years. But from what you saw with Mr. Mixx's skill on the turntables, how did that really help take your guys' shows to the next level?
Man, it helped tremendously because Mr. Mixx invented his own little crossfader, his little transformer box. He invented, and then he used to cut, and Luke used to tell him to cut with a specific body part, and then he would try to do it and go all behind his back and spin around real fast. And man, that was a highlight of the show as well. That was a highlight of the show as well because we would always give Mr. Mixx his moment to shine and show his turntablism, his turntable skills in the show. So that was always a part of the show that I would really look forward to. I love seeing him back there in action. It was nothing like live cutting back then, baby.
I know. I've got to see a lot of the greats in person,
Yeah,
even as a little kid, on to till today, and like to see. And of course, you and I are talking about when they used records,
that's right.
the vinyl, and just to
Yes.
see, I never got to see Mr. Mixx in his prime, but I got to see like, Terminator X and DJ Scratch and Jazzy Jeff and all these other dudes that were
Yes.
astounding.
Yes, Egyptian Lover as well.
Yes.
Did you ever see Egyptian Lover cut?
Not in the prime.
Oh
DJ
man.
Aladdin. DJ
Man.
Aladdin's another one.
Yeah, man. I used to have a chance to see I had the opportunity to see Egyptian Lover on the turntables a number of times. And man, he's one of the good ones too. He's one of the great ones too. It was all fun because the DJ had to dig in the crate and you had to have the headphones right here. You had to have one record right here. And you had to see and flip. You had the tape on the record on the label. Man, it was just great. The culture was just the shit back then.
In the beginning, hip-hop was ruled by the East Coast. Then the West Coast rose to prominence, thanks to gangster rap. Hip-hop changed the world. Gangster rap changed the narrative.
I'm representing for the gangsters all across the world.
And then changed the world again.
'Cause I'll come and take your life away.
The history of gangster rap features unheard stories, unseen photos and documents, all with exclusive interviews from the founders and players who shaped gangster rap.
I think a real gangster rapper has to scare you a little bit.
The history of gangster rap written by veteran rap journalist Soren Baker. In stores now.
Yo, what up? This is DJ Quick. Be sure to pick up my homeboy Soren Baker's book, The History of Gangster Rap, if you really want to know what we do.